What if every choice you've ever made still echoes somewhere in another universe? The voice hangs in the air, soft as dust in moonlight. A slow breath follows, stretching across the quiet. Out there, beyond the velvet black of space, stars shimmer like scattered thoughts, small, flickering memories of other lives. Each one burns for a moment, then drifts away, leaving behind a question that never fades. What else could have been? The mind tries to hold still, but curiosity stirs. Perhaps there is more than one version of this story. Perhaps the path you're on is only one among countless others, each written in a slightly different sky. Some paths glow brighter, some dissolve into shadow, some may never be seen at all. Yet together, they hum, low, patient, eternal, like the breathing of the universe itself. The voyage begins quietly, not with rockets or engines, but with wonder. It begins with the smallest thought, that reality might not be a single, straight line, but an ocean. We drift at its surface, tracing ripples that seem familiar, not realizing that just beneath, countless other currents move unseen, each carrying its own version of everything we know. For as long as humans have looked up, there has been this uneasy feeling that what we see is only a fraction of what is. Every night sky, every reflection, every shadow has whispered the same secret, that there might be more. The idea of the multiverse does not ask us to believe. It invites us to listen. It tells us that the world we wake to each morning might be one reflection among many, a single note in a cosmic harmony too vast to hear in full. Reality, as it turns out, might be a hall of mirrors. Each mirror holds another possibility, another you, reaching, breathing, thinking slightly differently. Somewhere, a version of you never moved to that city. Another one became a painter instead of a teacher. In one reflection, you said yes. In another, you didn't. Some of those reflections are brighter, others dimmer. Some might already be fading into silence. Yet they exist together, endlessly multiplying, each one a tiny universe of its own. It's easy to say this is only imagination, but so much of science began that way. Once, the idea that the Earth moved around the sun was unthinkable. Once, the thought of other worlds was madness. Yet here we are, floating among billions of galaxies, realizing that what we call everything might only be the smallest slice of an even greater whole. Picture a night by the sea. The wind is cool, the water endless. The moonlight trembles across the waves, scattering into 1,000 silver threads. Each crest holds the same reflection, yet each flickers differently, shaped by the wind, the tide, the moment. No two are identical, yet all belong to the same ocean. That is the multiverse. Not a wild fantasy, but a quiet possibility, where the universe does what it has always done: repeat, vary, evolve, create. Some scientists describe it as a consequence of the smallest vibrations, the tremors inside atoms that decide the fates of worlds. Others imagine it as the breath of cosmic cycles, universes expanding and collapsing like tides, each birth a new beginning, each death a whisper of the next. But beneath all the theories lies something more human, the simple wonder that reality could be bigger than what our senses reveal. The thought stirs something deep, almost spiritual. What if we are not confined to a single timeline, a single outcome? What if the story of existence is not a straight road, but a web stretching infinitely in all directions? Every step we take, every decision we make spins another thread, another possibility branching out into the unknown. It's dizzying, yet strangely comforting. The idea that nothing is ever truly lost, that every path continues somewhere, even the ones we didn't choose. This is where the mind begins to ache, caught between awe and disbelief. Because if all possibilities exist, what does that say about choice itself? About destiny? About you? Are we free or merely passengers drifting along infinite rivers, each version of ourselves unaware of the others? The thought feels impossible to hold, yet impossible to release. Take a moment. Close your eyes. Feel the slow pulse behind your eyelids, that faint rhythm of existence. In this moment, you are one version of yourself, anchored in one universe. But just beyond the edges of perception, the air seems to shimmer, as though reality itself is thinner than it appears. Somewhere out there, perhaps in a reality just a fraction of a thought away, another version of you pauses too, feeling the same pull of wonder, the same silent question. Maybe that is what it means to live in a multiverse, not to travel through endless worlds, but to sense their presence, like echoes in the next room. The mirrors are there, even if we can't see them, each one reflecting something just beyond reach. They wait quietly, like unopened doors, patient and infinite. The mystery of it all changes the way we look at everything. The stars no longer seem distant, they feel like windows. The choices we make no longer feel final, they feel like branches. Even silence feels alive, as though it hums with unseen worlds overlapping ours. The multiverse turns existence into an unfinished painting, layers upon layers of color, each one touching the next without ever blending completely. It's a strange comfort. The thought that somewhere in some version of reality, everything worked out differently. Maybe the letter was sent. Maybe the dream came true. Maybe you stood at a crossroads and turned left instead of right. Those moments don't vanish, they drift, each one its own small universe, shimmering quietly beyond our perception. Reality becomes softer then, less rigid, more like a reflection in moving water. It bends with possibility, it breathes. The hall of mirrors no longer feels like a maze. It feels like home, an infinite home, where every version of you continues to exist, learning, changing, becoming. The mind drifts further into the thought, floating weightless among reflections. The stars seem closer now, each one a silent witness to the infinite dance of existence. Somewhere across the dark sea of reality, another universe stirs, another story begins. The echoes overlap, the mirrors multiply, and the boundaries between what is and what could be blur into light. But before we lose ourselves entirely in this ocean of infinities, there's a pause. The question lingers, steady and patient. To understand the many, we must first understand the one. Before we can wander through the endless reflections, we must know the mirror itself, the stage that holds our version of reality, the universe we call home. The voice softens, almost a whisper now. The voyage will continue, but for a moment, we rest at the threshold. One world behind us, countless ahead. The doorway of mirrors glows faintly in the dark, waiting. Before diving into infinity, we must understand the stage on which all these universes might exist, our own. Reality feels solid. A table holds your hand, the ground supports your steps, a mountain stands unmoved against the sky. Everything seems still, permanent, trustworthy. Yet beneath that stillness, beneath every surface, lies a trembling ocean, one that stretches beyond light and sound, beyond what the human mind can hold. It moves silently, endlessly, a sea that has no waves yet carries all of existence upon it. This is the hidden fabric beneath reality, the place where space and time are not two things, but one. The thought began as a whisper more than a century ago, in the mind of a man who saw the world differently. To most, time was a clock on the wall, and space was the emptiness that wrapped around stars. To Einstein, they were threads of the same cloth, inseparable, shaping and bending under the weight of everything within them. He saw the universe not as a box containing matter, but as a living fabric, flexible, sensitive, full of motion. Every star, every planet, every atom left a fingerprint on it, pressing softly into the cosmic weave. Picture a still pond at dawn. The water seems calm, but the surface shifts gently with each breeze. Drop a pebble, and circles ripple outward, never truly ending, only fading into the mist. Space and time move that way. Every mass, from a falling apple to a spinning galaxy, bends the pond of existence, creating ripples that flow unseen through the cosmos. That bend, that ripple, is what we feel as gravity. We are not pulled down to Earth. We are guided along the curve it creates. When you walk across the floor, your feet are tracing a gentle arc through space-time. When the moon drifts around Earth, it is not tethered by an invisible rope, but gliding effortlessly along a curved valley in the fabric. Everything moves because everything shapes the fabric, and the fabric, in turn, shapes everything that moves. The universe dances with itself in perfect silence. It's strange to think of something as vast as space being soft, almost liquid, able to bend and stretch. Yet the evidence is everywhere. Light itself bends as it passes near massive stars, curving like a leaf caught in a slow current. The Earth hums faintly with gravitational waves, tiny tremors born from the collision of distant black holes. They reach us long after the event, faint echoes rippling through the invisible fabric we live within. We do not hear them, yet they pass through our bodies, through the walls, through the planet, as effortlessly as air through silk. There's something oddly intimate about this idea. The universe is not a collection of separate things scattered through emptiness. It's one connected body. The sun, the earth, your heartbeat, all of it part of the same trembling field. Every moment of time is a thread, every place a fold in that grand tapestry. To move anywhere, to think anything, to exist at all, is to brush against the same fabric that holds galaxies together. The more you think about it, the less solid everything feels. The floor beneath you, the chair you sit on, the body that holds your mind, they are not still at all. They are rising and falling with the unseen tide of space-time, drifting imperceptibly along the curved geometry that defines our universe. Reality becomes less like a structure and more like a song, a vibration too slow for the ear to catch, but steady enough to cradle worlds. It changes the way we see the night sky. Those pinpoints of light are not hung against a black canvas. They are knots in the same thread that runs through your own being. When you look upward, the light that reaches your eyes has traveled along the contours of space-time, sliding across bends and valleys, shaped by the gravity of every star in its path. You are not looking at the universe from the outside. You are part of the very thing you observe, rippling gently with it, connected to its every motion. Take a slow breath. Feel it move through you. Each inhale, each exhale, a tiny exchange of energy that subtly stirs the space around you. You are not floating in the fabric. You are part of it. The atoms in your skin are bound by the same geometry that curves the orbit of the planets. In a very real sense, the cosmos does not simply surround you, it folds through you. The boundary between the human and the universe becomes thin, almost transparent. For centuries, people have looked for what lies beneath the physical world, hoping to find something firm, an ultimate layer of truth. Einstein's vision suggested the opposite, that the foundation of everything is motion, curvature, change. The deeper we look, the less we find anything fixed. The bedrock of reality turns out to be fluid. That realization carries a quiet beauty and also a certain humility. Nothing stands alone. Nothing truly stands still. There's a story about Einstein's reaction when he realized the depth of this discovery. He imagined himself riding on a beam of light, feeling the strange slow motion of time, the bending of the universe around him. It was not just a scientific insight, it was a kind of awakening. He had glimpsed the fabric beneath reality and saw that it wasn't cold or mechanical. It was alive with form and flow, an ocean too vast to see in full. Once you glimpse it too, even faintly, the ordinary world begins to shimmer. Space is no longer empty, time no longer simple. Every motion feels connected, every silence hums with hidden structure. The weight of your body against the ground becomes a kind of dialogue. Earth bending beneath you, you bending it in return. Two presences meeting through the invisible thread of gravity, each acknowledging the other's existence without a single word. The mind drifts toward a quiet thought. If this fabric can bend, twist, and ripple under the weight of stars, it might also tear. New spaces might form where the fabric folds too tightly, or stretch thin where it is pulled apart. It might mean that something as immense as a universe could wrinkle, ripple, or even bloom anew from its own tension. Perhaps every new universe begins as such a ripple, a disturbance in the infinite field of space-time. A small vibration, then a widening pulse, then a wave that never stops expanding. Maybe the cosmos itself is not singular, but the echo of something deeper, something that trembles again and again, creating endless seas of existence across an unseen horizon. The thought lingers like starlight caught in mist. The universe, vast and silent, feels suddenly tender. It moves, it breathes, it flexes gently beneath everything we know. We are suspended within it, passengers riding its subtle curves, unaware of how completely it holds us. The story of space-time is not only the story of physics, it's the story of belonging. To be alive is to move within the fabric, to bend it, to leave ripples behind. Every heartbeat, every falling leaf, every dying star contributes to the same endless vibration, the quiet pulse of being itself. The night deepens. The stars seem closer now, as though they're leaning in to listen. Somewhere beyond our sight, the fabric stretches further than any telescope could reach, unfolding into possibilities unseen. The air feels still, but nothing truly is. The voice lowers to a whisper. The idea hangs gently, suspended between wonder and silence. Our universe may be just a ripple in space-time, and other ripples may exist nearby, unseen yet real. A pause. A soft breath. The thought opens like a doorway into the dark. The mind drifts toward the next mystery, the one that has haunted every curious soul since time began. How a universe begins. Before the first stars, before the first shadow, there was silence. Not the kind we know, filled with breath or heartbeat, but an absence so complete that even the word nothing feels too heavy. From that silence came a tremor, a pulse that would never end. It was not an explosion in space because there was no space yet, no direction, no distance. It was the birth of space itself, the first breath of creation. The story of the beginning is less like a flash of light and more like a slow unfolding, a soft ripple spreading across a canvas that had only just appeared. Nearly 14 billion years ago, all of existence was compressed into something smaller than a single grain of dust. Within that point lay every atom that would ever exist, every thought that would ever be thought, every world that would ever glow in the dark. Then came expansion, so sudden and vast that language can only chase after it, never quite catching up. Space stretched faster than light could travel. Time began to move, and from a nothingness beyond imagining, there was something. The first light was not white or golden. It was pure energy, dense and blinding, yet utterly without form. From it came the simplest ingredients of reality, tiny sparks of matter and antimatter colliding, vanishing, returning. For a moment, existence flickered like a candle in the wind. Then, somehow, it stayed. Everything we know, the stars, the oceans, the laughter of children, was once compressed into that impossible point. Every mountain, every galaxy, every human story was there together, not as separate things, but as potential, waiting for release. It is strange to think that the air you breathe tonight was once part of that same ancient pulse, that every atom in your body remembers the first moment when the universe inhaled. When cosmologists speak of the Big Bang, they don't mean a blast in the sky. They mean an expansion of reality itself. The universe did not grow into something. It created the very space it would grow into. Picture a balloon, not inflating within a room, but creating the room as it expands. The edges of that balloon are not borders but horizons, limits of what we can see, not of what exists. The expansion continues even now, the cosmos still breathing, still growing larger with each passing second. Every galaxy you see through a telescope is moving away from every other. The farther one looks, the faster they flee. It's as if the universe itself remembers that first moment of release, still echoing the rhythm of that primal expansion. The night sky becomes a map of memory, the light from distant stars a story told across billions of years. In the faint afterglow that fills the cosmos, scientists have found whispers of that birth, the cosmic microwave background, a soft radiation that drifts through everything. It is the leftover warmth of creation, the echo of the universe's first breath. When you close your eyes, that radiation passes through you, unseen and constant, a quiet reminder that you live within the aftermath of something extraordinary. The beauty of this story is not only in its science, but in its poetry. To know that everything emerged from a single spark of possibility gives weight to the smallest moments. It means that the act of being alive, right now, is connected to the very first act of existence itself. The universe is not something distant or cold, it is the oldest part of us. Every thought you have, every movement, is a continuation of that first unfolding. The Big Bang wasn't the explosion of chaos, but the beginning of structure. From expanding energy came hydrogen and helium, the first elements. From them, stars were born, vast furnaces that forged heavier elements in their cores. Each supernova, each dying star, scattered those new materials across the void, seeding the raw matter that would one day form planets, oceans, and eventually consciousness. The stars gave their bodies so others could exist, an ancient cycle of transformation that still continues. The thought then rises softly. Perhaps the Big Bang was one of countless awakenings, one spark among infinite others. Maybe creation happens again and again, not as a single event, but as a rhythm, a cosmic heartbeat echoing through eternity. Each pulse gives birth to another universe, each one expanding into its own silence, each carrying its own story. It is tempting to imagine them as bubbles floating in an unseen ocean, each shimmering with its own light, each born from a shared source, yet isolated by distance so vast that no signal could ever cross. Some may collapse in an instant, their light extinguished before it begins. Others may last forever, cooling slowly, their stars fading like embers in an endless night. In one, gravity may be stronger, pulling worlds together too quickly for life to bloom. In another, it may be weaker, leaving everything drifting too far apart to form. Ours, somehow, rests in the delicate balance that allows rivers, trees, and thought. The possibility of countless beginnings changes how we see our own. It turns the universe from a single miracle into a song of infinite verses. We become not the exception, but part of a larger harmony, a note in a melody that never ends. There's something deeply humbling in that thought. The night sky, instead of feeling lonely, becomes full of quiet company. Every point of light could be a reminder that creation did not happen once, but is happening always, in places beyond sight. Sometimes the simplest truths are the hardest to hold. The mind wants to picture the beginning as a spark, a burst, a sound. Yet the more we learn, the more it feels like a breath, gentle, endless, everywhere at once. It may be that creation is not an event in time, but the nature of time itself. Perhaps the universe is still being born, each moment another step in an unbroken expansion. The first breath never truly ended. It continues in you, in the stars, in the very space between them. Take a slow breath yourself. Feel it move through you, expanding your chest, stretching your ribs. That rhythm mirrors the universe's own. When you exhale, you join the oldest motion in existence, the release that began everything. Creation is not something that happened once long ago, but something that happens constantly, in every breath, in every unfolding moment. The thought has a strange stillness to it. It brings the vastness of the cosmos down to something personal, almost tender. To live is to echo that first expansion, to carry the memory of that silence turning into sound. Every heartbeat is a small Big Bang, a renewal, a continuation of that first act of becoming. The stars outside your window tonight were not placed there. They are still arriving. The universe is still reaching outward, still stretching its own limits, still discovering itself. Somewhere in that motion you exist. A single awareness, flickering in the dark, made of the same elements born from that first fire. Perhaps creation is not a single spark, but a rhythm, one that hums across all time, birthing worlds in endless waves. Each new universe carries its own rules, a unique song in an infinite symphony. The universe hums, though we rarely notice. Beneath the silence of the stars, beneath the static of cosmic background noise, there lies something softer, something ancient, a faint vibration that never stops. Every atom, every flicker of light, every grain of dust that drifts between galaxies is part of it. To the physicists who listen closely, this hum carries a secret, that reality itself might be music. Not a metaphor, but an actual vibration written into the fabric of existence. In the quiet language of string theory, everything that exists, particles, planets, even the passage of time, emerges from the trembling of tiny filaments of energy. They are unimaginably small, far beyond any microscope or telescope, yet they hold the architecture of the cosmos. These strings twist and ripple through dimensions, plucking at the silence of the void, each one vibrating at its own unique frequency. That vibration gives birth to everything. A low vibration might become the weight of matter, the pull of gravity. A faster one could become light, or the force that holds atoms together. The strings themselves are not things we can touch or see, but rather patterns that shape what can be touched and seen. Just as a violin's note fills the air without showing its vibration, the universe too may be filled with unseen resonances, each one building upon another until the music becomes matter. To think of existence as sound changes how it feels to look at the night sky. The galaxies stop being cold machinery and start to resemble waves in a vast symphony, playing a score too complex for us to hear directly. The stars are not silent after all. They are part of a composition that began long before time, each orbit and collision another note in an eternal performance. Even empty space is not truly empty. It shivers with potential, like a string just before the bow touches it. The beauty of this idea is that it bridges the smallest and the grandest, joining the invisible dance of quarks to the slow turning of galaxies. From the smallest note comes the largest structure. Somewhere deep in the heart of matter, a pattern hums, and that pattern becomes you, me, the oceans, the wind that moves through trees. Each of us is a temporary harmony in a cosmic score that never ends. There's something deeply human about that thought. To live inside music without hearing it, to exist as vibration without knowing it. Perhaps this is why we are drawn to rhythm and melody, why a single chord can make the chest ache. The same physics that gives rise to stars might also give rise to the feeling of beauty itself. The resonance we feel when a song moves us could be a small echo of that larger truth, a reminder that we are made from the same vibration we respond to. But in this musical universe, there might be more than one song. Each universe could be a different composition, played on the same instrument, but tuned to another key. String theory suggests that multiple solutions could exist, each producing its own version of reality. Change the vibration slightly, and you might create a world where gravity is too weak for stars to form, or one where light bends in strange directions, or one where time flows at a different pace entirely. Each possibility is a melody that begins, evolves, fades, and gives way to another. Our universe, then, might be one of countless movements in an infinite symphony. Its laws, its constants, its rhythms, everything we call physics, may just be one arrangement among many. It's not chaos but composition. Somewhere, beyond what we can perceive, other universes may hum to their own frequencies, each one complete in its own way. Some may rise and fall in an instant. Others may expand forever, their songs overlapping like waves upon waves. The image feels both vast and intimate. To think that everything we know, the birth of stars, the formation of worlds, the quiet of a sleeping city, could be the result of vibration is to realize that the universe is not built but played. Matter does not simply exist, it performs. Even time, that river we drift through, may be nothing more than rhythm, the steady beat of creation repeating itself across eternity. When physicists describe this, they use equations that dance more than they explain. Dimensions fold upon themselves, vibrating in ways the mind can't quite picture. Yet even without understanding the math, the idea carries a strange calm. It suggests that behind all the seeming randomness, there is structure. Behind every explosion of a star, behind every heartbeat, there is rhythm. Reality is not static, it sings. There's an old idea in philosophy that the universe might be something like a dream, woven from thought rather than matter. String theory doesn't speak of dreams, but it comes close. It whispers that what we touch is just resonance, that what we call solid is only vibration slowed down. To press your hand against a stone is to feel the music of the cosmos made dense enough to resist you. The stone hums too softly for you to hear, but it hums all the same. This vision of reality transforms the way we think about beginnings. Instead of a single spark, creation becomes a note struck in perfect silence. It reverberates through dimensions, spawning harmonics, overtones, entire universes born from resonance. Each one is an echo, not identical but connected, each exploring a different melody. The multiverse ceases to be a collection of separate worlds and becomes a grand orchestra, each universe a player contributing its voice to the whole. To imagine that all existence might be music is to give it meaning beyond matter. It suggests that beauty isn't an accident, but a reflection of the universe's very structure. The reason the spiral of a galaxy feels elegant, or the symmetry of a snowflake feels right, might be because both follow the same deep harmony. Even our search for understanding, the way we build theories and stories, could be part of that harmony. The mind trying to recognize the melody it was born from. There's a gentleness in realizing that everything vibrates together. The boundaries we draw between stars and selves begin to blur. You are not separate from the universe's song. You are a phrase within it. To live is to continue the vibration, to add your own tone to the cosmic chord. Each thought, each gesture sends out ripples that join the larger music, whether you hear them or not. But then comes the quiet question, soft as breath. Can these melodies ever meet? If one universe hums in C major and another in a frequency beyond our hearing, can they ever touch? Could one tune ever bleed into another, two songs intertwining for a moment before drifting apart again? The laws of physics may say no, but possibility has a way of lingering in the dark. Perhaps somewhere, where the boundaries of reality thin, one vibration might slip across, faint as a whisper. A spark of light that doesn't belong, a quantum tremor that shivers through space, a single note that doesn't fit the key, but still resonates deeply. Maybe that's what we call inspiration, the echo of another universe brushing ours for a heartbeat before vanishing again. The night sky stretches out, vast and unbroken, yet suddenly it feels less distant. The stars shimmer like notes held too long, the spaces between them alive with unspoken harmony. The cosmos continues to play, its music spilling across eternity. Can one universe hear another? The question floats there, suspended in the dark, as if waiting for an answer that may never come. Yet even without an answer, the sound remains, the quiet hum beneath everything, steady as a heartbeat, endless as the sky. Beyond the familiar stars, past the edge of what even the most powerful telescopes can see, space continues to stretch in silence. The light from the earliest galaxies fades into a faint whisper, too weak to reach us, as though reality itself has drawn a curtain. Yet physicists believe that curtain does not mark the end, only the limit of what we can perceive. Beyond it, something astonishing might unfold, a vast sea of universes, each floating in its own pocket of space, each unaware of the others drifting nearby. It began with inflation, not the kind that fills balloons or prices, but a cosmic swelling so immense it outpaces light itself. In the first moments after the Big Bang, the universe expanded faster than anything we can imagine, faster than the rules of time seem to allow. Space didn't stretch into something else. It stretched itself, carrying everything within it outward, smooth and uniform at first, like a deep breath held too long. Then, in that impossible expansion, pockets formed, tiny regions where inflation stopped while it continued elsewhere. Each of those regions cooled, condensed, and became its own universe. To visualize it, one might look at a cluster of soap bubbles, glistening and delicate. Each bubble holds its own little world of reflections, its own surface trembling in light. They float together, yet remain separate, divided by the thin walls of expanding film. Now, stretch that image beyond comprehension. Replace the soapy foam with space-time itself, a field of bubbles stretching forever. Each one a self-contained cosmos, complete with its own galaxies, its own laws of physics, its own concept of time. We live inside one of them, a single bubble drifting quietly among an ocean of others. The horizon of our visible universe is like the curve of that bubble seen from within. We can see only so far before space itself has carried the light away, stretching it until it becomes invisible. Beyond that horizon might lie another universe, another bubble that formed when inflation paused in some distant patch of reality. We will never see it directly because the space between our worlds grows faster than light can cross. Each bubble floats apart, isolated by the very fabric that created it. To consider that is to stand at the edge of comprehension. Everything we've ever known, every star, every atom, every moment of human history might be nothing more than a small vibration in one corner of an infinite froth of existence. Each bubble could be a unique version of reality. In one, gravity might be stronger. In another, it might be too weak for galaxies to form. Somewhere, perhaps, life took root under entirely different rules. Yet to all of them, their own skies must feel endless, their own stars eternal. The beauty of this idea is its paradox. It explains why our universe looks so perfectly balanced, so precisely tuned for life. In an infinite multiverse, there would be countless universes where the balance failed. Too chaotic, too hot, too barren. We happen to live in one where everything aligned just right, not by destiny, but by sheer cosmic variety. Like a single melody that happens to land on the perfect note while countless others drift off key. But beyond the comfort of that explanation lies a quiet melancholy. Our cosmic bubble is solitary. We might never touch another, never hear its song, never even know what lies beyond its shimmering wall of space-time. The distance between universes is not measured in miles, but in the nature of existence itself. It is a silence deeper than any vacuum, a separation written into the structure of reality. Still, some physicists wonder whether those walls are absolute. Could bubbles ever collide? Could two universes brush against one another, their edges rippling like drops of rain meeting on glass? If such collisions happened, they might leave scars, faint circular patterns imprinted in the background radiation of our sky, a subtle distortion in the oldest light. Astronomers have searched for such marks, faint bruises in the cosmic afterglow, though none have yet been confirmed. But the idea persists, like a whisper in the data, that our universe might have once touched another for a moment before drifting apart again. The thought carries something haunting. What would that collision have felt like from within? Would the laws of physics tremble, stars flicker out, time itself ripple? Or would it have passed unnoticed, a silent merging beyond our ability to perceive? The universe gives no answer, only the steady hum of its own expansion. The deeper one drifts into this thought, the more delicate reality begins to seem. The walls that separate universes are not solid, but made of expansion, a kind of motion frozen in eternity. They are not barriers, but boundaries defined by what light cannot reach. We live enclosed not by walls, but by the speed of space itself. Beyond our cosmic horizon, another universe may be forming this very second, its stars igniting, its galaxies unfolding, its own observers gazing outward and wondering the same thing. Are we alone? There's a strange poetry in thinking that creation never ended. The Big Bang was not a single explosion, but one of countless sparks bursting across an infinite void. Inflation is not an event, but a process that never stops, forever birthing new universes in distant realms we will never see. Each one expands, matures, fades, perhaps giving rise to life, perhaps falling silent. The multiverse is a garden without borders, where universes bloom and wither like flowers that never meet. Yet, even within that vast solitude, there is a quiet connection. The same physics that gave rise to our world might be humming elsewhere, repeating in different tones. Somewhere, another sky might hold constellations we would recognize, a distant echo of our own. It reminds us that even across the deepest separation, we are still part of the same cosmic breath. Our understanding of this remains incomplete. The mathematics of inflation stretches beyond direct proof. We cannot see outside our bubble, cannot send a signal across the expanding void. Still, the theory fits the clues we do have: the smoothness of the cosmos, the faint, uniform glow left over from creation, the delicate balance of forces. It all hints at something greater, something infinite yet strangely familiar. In the end, thinking about the cosmic bubbles is less about solving equations and more about feeling the scale of existence. It invites us to see ourselves as part of a pattern too vast to measure, yet gentle enough to hold us. We are the inhabitants of one fragile sphere drifting through eternity, unaware of the countless others glimmering in the dark. That fragility does not make us small, it makes us rare. The universe outside our horizon will remain a mystery, at least for now. But perhaps mystery is part of the design, the silence between notes that makes the music more beautiful. As the mind tries to reach beyond its own bubble, something quiet unfolds, an awareness that there is more, always more, just beyond the edge of what we can see. Beyond our sky, the bubbles continue to form, expanding into the unseen, each one a breath of creation frozen in light. Some drift close, some drift far, none touching, yet all part of the same eternal sea. Their reflections flicker in the dark, fading into infinity. Somewhere among them, our bubble glows softly, a small and trembling sphere. From within, it feels like everything. But out there, beyond the horizon, the universe continues, countless bubbles suspended in the silence of an endless foam. And yet, in that silence, another vision begins to form. A picture of universes not drifting apart, but lying side by side, pressed together like pages in a book, each one a separate story written in the same cosmic ink. Somewhere in the quiet depths of existence, beneath the stars and beyond the hum of galaxies, there may lie a library that no one can see. Its shelves do not stand in space, nor do its books bear titles, yet it holds every possible version of everything that could ever be. In this vast archive, every choice is recorded, every outcome written in invisible ink across the pages of the universe. Some call it the multiverse. Physicists, whispering through the language of quantum mechanics, call it the field of infinite possibilities. At the smallest scales of reality, certainty dissolves. Matter itself behaves less like a solid thing and more like a story that hasn't been finished yet. A particle can be here or there, spinning or still, alive or not, all at once until the moment it is observed. Observation collapses that uncertainty into a single truth, but before that instant, the universe holds its breath. It contains every potential outcome, layered together like translucent pages. That's the strange poetry of the quantum world. Reality waits for someone to notice before deciding what it is. Now, consider what that means not just for particles, but for everything built from them, including us. Each moment of decision, each fork in life's path, might create a branching of worlds. One where you turned left, one where you turned right. One where you spoke, one where you stayed silent. Each version continues, unaware of the others, unfolding in its own thread of time. The universe does not choose one story. It writes them all, side by side, forever expanding its library of possibilities. The idea sounds impossible at first, yet it flows naturally from the mathematics that govern quantum behavior. When a particle's wave of probability collapses, the equation suggests that all outcomes still exist, only in different branches of reality. The many worlds interpretation, as it's called, offers a haunting vision that every moment divides the universe into countless versions, each as real as the one you inhabit now. Think of a single coin spinning in the air. To us, it seems simple. It will land either heads or tails. But beneath that simplicity lies an ocean of quantum uncertainty. Both outcomes exist simultaneously until the coin settles, not because we can't predict it, but because, in some sense, both happen. In one world, the coin falls heads. In another, it falls tails. Each universe continues from that point, identical in every way except for that one small divergence. The spin becomes a doorway, the fall a branching of time itself. On the surface, this might seem trivial. Who cares how many universes a coin might create? But scale that up to every choice ever made, by every person, every creature, every atom, and you begin to glimpse the enormity of it. Reality becomes a forest of branching paths, a quantum tree growing endlessly in every direction. Each moment gives birth to countless futures, and each of those futures continues to branch again, multiplying without end. Somewhere out there might be another version of you, living a life just a fraction different. Maybe they took the job you declined or said the thing you didn't. Maybe they turned back instead of walking away. In some branches, their choices led to joy, in others to loss. Yet each path is complete within its own world, each as vivid as the one you know. There is both wonder and loneliness in that thought. To realize that we might not be singular, but scattered across a spectrum of realities. Infinite echoes of the same self, each living, feeling, hoping in isolation. None aware of the others, all convinced they are the only one. It reframes what we think of as destiny. Perhaps there isn't one true path at all, only a vast collection of might-have-beens, each realized somewhere beyond our reach. Still, there's something comforting in the symmetry of it. The mistakes you regret, the opportunities you missed, might have unfolded differently in another strand of reality. Somewhere, the version of you that said yes instead of no might be thriving. Somewhere, the version that stayed might have found peace. The universe, in its infinite generosity, does not erase possibilities. It gives them all a place to live. In this view, death itself becomes only a branching of perspective. Consciousness might fade in one world but continue in another, carried along a different timeline, never truly extinguished but refracted endlessly through the prisms of probability. That idea isn't science, not yet. It's more like a gentle dream that grows from the same soil. But in the quantum landscape, such dreams feel strangely at home. The strangeness deepens when you realize that observation, the act of seeing, of knowing, is what gives shape to reality. Until something is observed, it remains a cloud of possibilities. This means that awareness, in some mysterious way, participates in creation. Every glance, every thought becomes an act of selection from the quantum sea. We don't simply exist within the universe. We help choose which version of it becomes real. The cosmos is not just a stage, but a collaborator. Scientists who study this world of uncertainty describe it not as chaos, but as pure potential. In quantum mechanics, particles behave like notes in a song still being composed. The melody shifts depending on who listens, yet the song itself never ends. It flows through every universe at once, resonating with infinite variations. To be alive within that melody is to exist as both participant and listener, part of the harmony and the silence that surrounds it. There's a quiet magic in imagining the multiverse as a library of choices. Each universe is a page filled with moments that could have been or were. The librarian, perhaps, is time itself, turning the pages endlessly, never stopping, never repeating. Somewhere in that infinite archive, all versions of you exist. The ones who loved differently, the ones who dreamed longer, the ones who never knew they were more than one. It makes the present moment feel both fragile and immense. Every breath becomes a crossroad, every word a ripple that might echo through countless worlds. You sit at the center of endless branching timelines, aware of only one. The others continue without you, silent but alive, unfolding somewhere beyond the veil of perception. To reflect on this is to sense the deep mystery of being conscious at all. Why this version? Why this branch of the tree? Why this world, among infinite possibilities, chosen for awareness? There is no answer that satisfies reason, only the humbling awareness that you are a note struck once among infinite chords. The act of existing is itself the collapse of a cosmic wave function, an unfathomable coincidence made personal. Some physicists wonder whether these branches could ever reconnect. Could information leak from one universe to another? Could déjà vu, intuition, or sudden inspiration be small reflections from those nearby versions of ourselves, brushing gently against our thoughts? The equations offer no certainty, but the possibility lingers like a quiet pulse beneath the surface of what we call real. If the universe is a library, then consciousness is the reader, turning the pages one by one, unaware that all stories exist simultaneously. We see only the line in front of us, though the book stretches without end. Somewhere, the story continues differently, yet somehow still feels connected. Reality becomes not a single thread, but a tapestry woven from infinite strands of probability. Every choice, every chance, weaves a new pattern. The weave itself is too vast for us to see, but we sense it faintly in the pull of nostalgia, in the feeling that another version of things might still exist somewhere just out of reach. Perhaps that is what dreams are. Moments when the mind drifts sideways, glimpsing the neighboring branches for a heartbeat before returning. A shadow of another life, flickering through the veil of quantum noise. As this thought settles, something quieter follows. A question, almost tender. If these countless versions of us exist, could we ever cross the divide? Could one consciousness travel between the pages, stepping into another version of its own story? The idea hovers in the dark like a half-formed reflection, neither true nor false, waiting for the next breath of curiosity to bring it to life. If branching is real, then perhaps the space between worlds is not so distant after all. Perhaps the same quantum fabric that divides them might one day allow passage, a thread connecting the versions of ourselves scattered across the multiverse. The thought shivers through the air, soft as static before a song begins. The library remains open, infinite, silent. Somewhere among its shelves, another you reaches for the same question, wondering whether the pages ever touch. There is a whisper in the equations of the universe, a quiet suggestion that space might fold, that two distant points could touch like fingertips meeting through the fabric of reality. Physicists call these connections wormholes, bridges woven into space-time itself, shortcuts through the cosmic tapestry. They appear not as stable tunnels carved through rock, but as ripples, fleeting and delicate, flickering open in the deep silence of the quantum world. For a moment, they might connect places unimaginably far apart, or perhaps something stranger still. Two different realities, separated not by distance, but by the logic of existence itself. The idea was born from Einstein's field equations, which describe how space bends around mass, how gravity isn't so much a force as a curvature of the universe's fabric. Hidden in the mathematics, some saw solutions that hinted at tunnels, passages linking one curve to another. A door from here to there, where here and there could mean opposite sides of a galaxy or two entirely distinct universes. At first, these were just mathematical curiosities, elegant but unreachable. Yet the idea lingered, as if reality itself were teasing us with the possibility that distance, time, and even separateness might not be as absolute as we think. Picture space-time as a vast sheet stretched across the void. Normally, to travel from one point to another, you'd move along its surface, through light years of empty darkness. But bend the sheet, press two distant points together, and the journey shrinks to a single step. That step is a wormhole. It doesn't cut through space. It rewrites what space means. The bridge exists only because the universe allows it to, a temporary loophole in the laws that keep everything apart. Such bridges, if they exist, would be extraordinarily fragile. The tiniest disturbance, a breath of energy, a photon of light, could make them collapse before anything could pass through. Some theories say they might flicker open at quantum scales, smaller than atoms, smaller than time itself. Others imagine vast ones, stabilized by exotic matter with negative energy, capable of holding their shape long enough for something or someone to cross. It's a beautiful idea, though it lives mostly in equations, in thought experiments drawn across chalkboards and midnight conversations. Still, there's something irresistible about the thought of a universe that builds doors, even if we don't yet know how to open them. The question, though, is what waits on the other side? Would a traveler stepping through a wormhole find another corner of our universe? A different star? A different era? Or would they emerge into another reality entirely, one governed by slightly different rules, where light bends at a different angle, where gravity hums to another rhythm? The idea stretches the imagination because it suggests that the multiverse might not be a scattered collection of unreachable worlds, but a network, faintly connected, like neurons in a vast cosmic brain. Perhaps every so often across eons, these bridges spark into existence, a cosmic heartbeat linking what was never meant to meet. Through them, energy might leak from one universe into another, shaping both in ways we cannot yet detect. Maybe the mysteries we see, the dark matter we can't find, the dark energy we can't explain, are whispers from those hidden crossings. The universe might be full of doors that open and close faster than thought, too brief for light to notice, too faint for instruments to hear. For all its beauty, the idea of wormholes carries a strange melancholy. It suggests that everything is closer than we believe, yet forever beyond reach. To stand before such a doorway would be to face the unknown in its purest form, not just another place, but another reality, another version of existence itself. What would it feel like to step through? Would you still be you on the other side, or would something fundamental change in the translation? Could the laws that built your body, your mind, your memories, even function in a universe slightly out of tune with this one? Some imagine crossing a wormhole like walking through a mirror. The air might shimmer, the stars stretch into threads, your body light as thought. For a heartbeat, you might see both worlds at once, each reflecting the other like faces across a river. Then the door closes, and only one remains. It's easy to see why the image haunts storytellers and scientists alike. A promise of escape, of exploration, of unity between realms that were never meant to touch. Others think of wormholes not as paths to elsewhere, but as reflections of something deeper, the hidden structure of space and time itself. In this view, they are not tunnels through the universe, but folds within it, like creases in a map. To travel through one is to experience a different geometry of being, a place where time no longer flows in a straight line, where cause and effect might loop upon themselves. It becomes less a journey through distance and more a journey through meaning, through the relationships that define the universe's architecture. At its core, the concept touches something ancient in us, the longing to cross boundaries. We've always built bridges, across rivers, across cultures, across silence. A wormhole is simply the ultimate expression of that impulse, a bridge across reality itself. Whether such things truly exist may not matter as much as what they reveal about us, that we are creatures of connection, forever seeking what lies just beyond. The thought that there could be another Earth, another sky, another version of you waiting on the far side of a cosmic bridge is both breathtaking and unnerving. Would it be identical? Same oceans, same heartbeat, or subtly altered? A world where history took another turn. Some theories even suggest that traveling through a wormhole might mean stepping into another timeline altogether. You wouldn't just move across space, but across possibility into a different version of the story. In that sense, wormholes become symbols of choice itself, moments when reality might fold, when two separate paths momentarily touch before drifting apart again. We may never step through one, yet perhaps we already live surrounded by them in a subtler form. Decisions, coincidences, moments when our lives brush against alternate outcomes before continuing on their own trajectory. The bridges of reality may be more than physical. They may be woven into the structure of consciousness, in the way we sense what could have been. There's a quiet elegance in imagining the cosmos as threaded with hidden connections. Even without proof, the idea softens the vastness of existence. It suggests that isolation is an illusion, that even across the gulf of light years or the divide between universes, everything is somehow linked. Every atom, every spark, every heartbeat might be part of an unseen network, where time and space are only local expressions of something far greater, something whole. The physicists searching for wormholes aren't just looking for shortcuts through the stars. They are searching for the places where mathematics meets mystery, where the edges of reason blur into wonder. In the equations, these bridges appear delicate yet precise, impossible yet consistent, as though the universe left small clues about how deeply everything is connected. To glimpse that pattern, even for an instant, is to see that reality might be larger than the word can hold. If such a bridge ever opened, even for the blink of an eye, what would pass through? A particle? A thought? A reflection of time itself? Perhaps the traveler would not return in the same way, not because they were lost, but because the world they left would have already changed, subtly, invisibly, by the act of crossing. In the end, wormholes remind us that the barriers we think define reality might be thinner than they seem. Between one heartbeat and the next, between one possibility and another, there could exist a passage, brief, invisible, but real. Maybe we are never truly confined to a single universe. Maybe, through the delicate folds of space-time, the cosmos is constantly whispering across its own boundaries, reaching for itself. As the thought fades, one question remains suspended in the silence. If these bridges can bend space, could they also bend time? Could a doorway between worlds also be a doorway between moments? The answer lies ahead, somewhere in the mysterious fabric of existence, waiting for us to ask what time truly is in a universe that never stops unfolding. Time is often spoken of as a quiet companion, a steady current carrying us from birth to death, from sunrise to dusk, from one heartbeat to the next. Yet, in truth, it may not be so obedient, not so constant, not even singular. Beneath its calm surface, time bends and folds, accelerates and lingers, reshapes itself in ways that defy the rhythms we know. Across the multiverse, each universe could have its own version of time, its own unique pulse. In one, the moments might rush forward, ever quickening. In another, they could drift backward, undoing what was done. Elsewhere, time might not flow at all, suspended in eternal stillness, like dew frozen on a blade of grass that never falls. For centuries, humanity treated time as something absolute, the same for everyone, everywhere, ticking evenly like a divine metronome. Then Einstein arrived, whispering a new truth. Time is part of space itself, woven into a single fabric that stretches, curves, and trembles under gravity's touch. When a massive star bends space, it also bends time. Clocks near it tick more slowly than those far away. A second near a black hole might stretch into centuries for an observer far beyond. What we call the flow of time is not a river, but the shape of reality itself. There's a haunting beauty in that. It means that time isn't merely passing, it's being sculpted by the universe, carved into shapes we can barely perceive. Every movement of a planet, every flicker of light from a distant galaxy is part of that invisible geometry. It's as though the cosmos itself breathes through time, expanding and contracting in rhythms beyond measure. To us, those rhythms feel steady, but only because we are carried along within them, unable to step outside the current to see the whole river. Now imagine that each universe within the multiverse has its own fabric, its own relationship between space and time. Each might pulse at a different tempo, as though every cosmos were a separate instrument in a grand orchestra of existence. One might hum in slow, resonant waves where stars take trillions of years to bloom. Another could vibrate in sharp, brief bursts where moments vanish before thought can form. There could be universes where time loops back upon itself, forever replaying its own creation, or ones where it branches infinitely, producing endless versions of every instant. To us, these ideas feel strange because we experience time as a single direction, a forward arrow. Yet physics suggests that arrow might not be fundamental, only a byproduct of entropy, the gradual drift from order to disorder. The universe's arrow may simply be the shadow cast by energy dispersing, by stars burning and cooling, by memories forming and fading. The notion that time could run differently elsewhere awakens a quiet unease. It means that what we call before and after might not exist beyond our horizon. Somewhere, there could be a universe where events unfold in reverse, where the stars grow younger as their light reaches us, where rivers flow uphill, where death becomes birth. In that world, cause and effect might not follow in sequence. The future could create the past, or perhaps there is no distinction at all. What would consciousness mean in such a place? Could a being perceive its own life backward, remembering what has not yet happened, feeling nostalgia for moments still to come? Near black holes, we catch glimpses of this strangeness. At the edge of the event horizon, time slows until it nearly stops. To an outside observer, anything falling in appears frozen forever. To the falling traveler, though, everything beyond the horizon accelerates. The entire history of the universe might pass in an instant. Time, then, is not universal. It is personal, sculpted by gravity and motion. Two observers can disagree on the duration of the same event, and both be right. Perhaps across the multiverse, that disagreement grows into diversity. A cosmos of clocks, each beating to its own rhythm, each marking reality in its own way. Some physicists have suggested that time itself might not even be fundamental, but emergent, like temperature, which arises from the collective motion of atoms. Time could be a property that emerges from the entanglement of quantum states, a kind of illusion woven by relationships between particles. In that view, there may be universes where those relationships take a different form, where the illusion of time never emerges at all. A still cosmos, existing outside sequence, neither beginning nor ending, simply being. Perhaps we could not survive there, for survival implies change, but such a world might exist nonetheless, quiet and complete in its timelessness. Our language struggles here. Every word we use, before, after, flow, moment, is built from our experience within a single arrow of time. When we say another universe, we smuggle in assumptions about progression and duration that might not apply. Time could loop, or split, or freeze, or hum in patterns we cannot yet conceive. In some models of the multiverse, universes are born like bubbles in an ocean of timeless space, emerging, existing, and dissolving without any shared clock to coordinate them. One might live and die within what we would call an instant, while another endures far beyond the lifespan of our own cosmos. Yet from an outside perspective, if outside can even exist, they might coexist eternally, their durations meaningless. There's something poetic in thinking that time, which rules our lives so completely, may itself be local, fragile, and relative. Every tick of every clock, every heartbeat, every orbit of every planet could be a small interpretation of a larger truth, that the universe is not moving through time, but creating it continuously, moment by moment. In the multiverse, that act of creation could take countless forms. Some universes might be composed of rapid flashes, others of slow, eternal breaths. The difference would not be one of quality, but of rhythm. It raises a curious question. What does it mean for a being like us to exist in one tempo of time? Our minds perceive duration, memory, anticipation. We depend on the arrow. But perhaps our consciousness is like a musical phrase that only makes sense at a certain speed. Change the tempo, and the melody becomes something else. Could there be forms of awareness in other universes, tuned to different temporal frequencies? Creatures for whom centuries are seconds, or for whom each moment stretches into eternity? The thought itself bends the mind, but it also carries a strange peace, as though all ways of being might coexist, each valid within its own rhythm. If time is flexible, then the distinction between past and future begins to blur. Maybe the past never vanishes. Maybe it still exists, layered behind the present, like old light echoing through the cosmos. Perhaps the future already exists too, not as something waiting to happen, but as something that is simply elsewhere along the same continuum. We move through it like a traveler walking across a landscape, seeing only what is nearby, unaware of what lies ahead or behind. From the higher vantage of another kind of being, or another kind of universe, the entire landscape might be visible at once. All of this leads to a subtle realization. Time is not something we are in. It is something we make sense of. It is not a stage upon which the universe plays, but part of the play itself. Consciousness might not just experience time, it might create it through observation, through awareness, through the act of noticing. In a multiverse of many times, each consciousness might carve its own path, define its own before and after, its own unfolding. Perhaps that is why our universe feels so perfectly tuned to our perception, because perception is part of the tuning. Take a breath. Let that thought settle. The ticking of a clock, the setting of the sun, the slow growth of trees, these might all be expressions of our particular universe's rhythm. Somewhere else, there could be a different tempo altogether, a place where stars never die, or where everything happens all at once. Each reality, each world, could be a separate clock, not synchronized but resonant, forming a cosmic orchestra where time itself is the melody. As this idea sinks in, a new question begins to shimmer at the edge of thought. If time can flow in so many ways, forward, backward, still, or cyclical, then the laws that govern these flows must also differ. What kind of physics could exist in a place where time moves sideways or loops upon itself? Could causality, energy, even life itself take on new forms there? The horizon of mystery deepens, inviting us to look beyond time and ask, what else might change from one universe to the next? The laws of physics feel immutable. They are the invisible grammar of existence, the quiet structure holding everything in place. Gravity pulls, light travels, atoms bond, stars burn. Yet beneath this comforting order lies a question that trembles softly. Why these laws? Why not others? The multiverse theory offers one possible answer, though it is an answer that humbles more than it explains. Perhaps there is no single law written in the fabric of all reality. Perhaps there are countless variations, each universe rolling its own set of cosmic dice, each one a new stanza in an infinite, unfolding poem. In our universe, the numbers align in an exquisite balance. The strength of gravity is just right to let galaxies form without collapsing. The charge of the electron fits perfectly with the proton's pull. The speed of light, the expansion rate of space, the quantum rules that shape matter, every constant seems tuned, as though the universe were composed by a hand that understood harmony. Change any of these by even the slightest degree, and the structure of everything would unravel. Stars would never ignite. Planets would never coalesce. Life would remain a dream, unspoken and unimagined. This perfect alignment has long troubled scientists and philosophers alike. It feels too precise to be accidental, yet too vast to be designed. The multiverse offers a third path, that it is neither. In this view, reality does not consist of a single universe with fixed rules, but an infinite sea of possibilities. Each universe emerges with its own parameters, its own physics, its own version of what possible means. Most are sterile, silent, collapsing into nothing before their first breath completes. Others stretch into strange forms where matter cannot clump, where light behaves differently, where time itself may flicker like static. A few, a rare few, like ours, find a balance where complexity can bloom. It's a dizzying idea. It shifts the center of meaning away from us. The universe we know might not be special because it was chosen or designed, but simply because it is one of the few where observers can arise to ask the question. The cosmic lottery has countless tickets. We just happen to hold one that allowed the stars to burn steadily, that allowed chemistry to dance, that allowed consciousness to wake up and look around. In a sea of infinities, even miracles become statistics. Some call this the anthropic principle, the notion that we observe the universe as it is because only such a universe could contain beings like us. It sounds self-centered, but in truth, it's the opposite. It tells us we are not the reason for existence. We are the byproduct, a side effect of physics that happened to harmonize in a way that could dream. There's something humbling in that realization, something almost sacred in its simplicity. The cosmos is not about us, yet it includes us, woven from the same threads that hold stars together. This view also transforms how we understand laws themselves. Perhaps what we call the laws of physics are local customs, rules that apply only here, within our particular cosmic neighborhood. In another universe, gravity might repel instead of attract. Light could have more than one speed. Space might have different dimensions, folding in ways that defy the imagination. The constants we revere could be mere variations, like different dialects in the language of being. We often mistake our familiar order for universal truth, but in the grander picture, it might be only one melody among countless others. In such a multiverse, creation would not be a single event, but an eternal process, a fountain of realities, each bubbling up with its own structure. Some may overlap slightly, whispering faint echoes of one another. Others may exist forever apart, isolated and unknowing. We may never see them directly, but their possibility lingers at the edges of thought, like faint reflections in the dark water of the night sky. It's tempting to search for purpose in this vastness, to wonder whether there's a reason behind the tuning. But perhaps asking why misses the point. The multiverse, if it exists, may not need intention. It could be the natural expression of potential itself, the way energy seeks form, the way mathematics blossoms into existence without needing permission. The order we see might not have been imposed but discovered, the result of infinite trials playing out across eternal possibility. In that sense, our existence becomes something profoundly delicate. We are creatures who happen to inhabit a universe that allows reflection, who happen to live on a planet where chemistry became biology, and biology became thought. Our consciousness is not a cosmic goal, but a quiet accident of favorable laws. Yet, that accident gives us the power to look back at the universe and feel awe, to recognize that we are made of its same logic, its same breath. The rules that allow galaxies to swirl also allow neurons to fire, both guided by the same invisible script. There's a strange comfort in this randomness. If reality is an infinite experiment, then meaning does not come from being chosen, but from being aware. We exist not because the universe needed us, but because it could. That small could is everything. It means possibility is the real miracle. Even if most universes are silent, the fact that one, ours, can sing is enough to justify the entire chorus. Some scientists liken the multiverse to a cosmic foam, each bubble expanding, merging, or bursting in its own timeline. Within each, the dice of physics roll differently. Somewhere, there could be a universe where atoms never bind, another where they fuse too easily, another where stars burn green instead of gold. Each rule set leads to a unique texture of existence, a different rhythm of creation. We happen to live in one that hums at just the right frequency for complexity to emerge, for life to dream of itself. When you step outside on a clear night and look up, you are seeing the evidence of those rules in action. Photons that have traveled billions of years, obeying the same constants that have shaped every atom in your body. The universe is self-consistent, coherent, tuned to itself. Yet behind that harmony might lie countless symphonies playing different notes, invisible but real. For some, this idea brings discomfort. It dethrones humanity, removes the illusion of centrality. For others, it opens something wider, a sense of belonging not to one world, but to existence itself. To think that there could be infinite other sets of laws, infinite ways for reality to be, gives our own small corner of it an even deeper significance. Out of endless permutations, this one allows consciousness to bloom. That alone is extraordinary. There's a quiet poetry in imagining every universe as a verse in an infinite poem, each line written in the ink of physics, each rhyme accidental yet inevitable. We may never read the whole poem, but we are part of it, a sentence within its unending rhythm. The laws of our universe are our meter, our pattern, our song. Through them, existence finds its voice, and through us, it becomes aware of its own beauty. Take a moment to feel that, the way the air moves through your lungs, the pulse beneath your skin. Those sensations are not separate from the laws that shape galaxies. They are expressions of them. The same gravity that holds the moon in orbit holds you to the Earth. The same electromagnetism that guides starlight fires through your neurons as thought. The universe's rules are not distant abstractions. They are the texture of your being. When seen through the lens of the multiverse, those rules become part of something far grander. They are not universal commandments, but local expressions of a deeper creativity, the cosmos experimenting with itself, composing variations on a theme. Ours happens to be the version that can wonder. The realization is both humbling and liberating. We are not the center of existence, nor are we lost within it. We are one verse among infinite others, shaped by chance yet capable of meaning. Perhaps that is the true gift of living in this universe, to recognize the rarity of our harmony and to marvel at it. As the thought settles, a new question arises, quiet but insistent. If our universe can support life because of its particular rules, could others do the same in their own strange ways? The poem may be infinite, but are we the only line that learned to sing? Across the endless tapestry of possible worlds, the question of life hangs like a soft echo in a cathedral, haunting, persistent, impossible to silence. Could existence have bloomed elsewhere in places we will never reach? Perhaps it already has, countless times in countless forms, each one carrying its own fragile spark into the dark. Life, after all, is stubborn. It clings to the faintest warmth, feeds on the smallest chance. Even in our single known universe, it thrives in places that should be unlivable. Beneath miles of Antarctic ice, in the toxic clouds of Venus, deep within volcanic vents where sunlight never touches, it finds a way to endure. It doesn't need permission. It only needs possibility. Now stretch that tenacity across the vast architecture of the multiverse. Every universe, every variation of physics, every strange rule of chemistry becomes another trial, another experiment in the grand laboratory of existence. The odds might seem impossible in one world, yet across infinity, even the rarest chance must unfold somewhere. In one universe, perhaps life swims in oceans of liquid methane. In another, it drifts as clouds of plasma, thinking slowly in the language of magnetic fields. Maybe somewhere, carbon never took the stage, silicon did, or something we can't even name. The details are endless, but the rhythm is the same. Complexity arising from chaos, self-replication from matter, awareness from chance. What makes life extraordinary is not its rarity, but its insistence. It keeps rewriting the script of survival. It molds itself to every environment, bending but not breaking, adapting until the impossible becomes ordinary. When we trace its story on Earth, from a single molecule to forests, oceans, and minds capable of wondering, we glimpse a deeper pattern. That life does not simply happen once. It is what matter does when given enough time. It is the universe turning inward, learning to look at itself. So when we gaze at the night sky and feel that tug of loneliness, it might be a misunderstanding. The silence between stars isn't proof of emptiness. It may simply be the quiet of distance. For all we know, life hums everywhere, tuned to frequencies our instruments have not yet learned to hear. Across the multiverse, that hum could be endless, a symphony of unknown rhythms. Some might echo ours, creatures with eyes, minds, questions. Others might be so different we would not recognize them as alive at all, though they too burn with the same spark of persistence. There is a kind of beauty in that thought, a comfort in imagining that existence keeps inventing itself, again and again, through endless variation. Perhaps there are other beings standing under alien skies, staring at their own constellations, wondering if they too are alone. Maybe they have myths about their origins, stories of creation and purpose, much like ours. Somewhere, a mind might be building a telescope, turning it outward in hope of seeing what lies beyond. In another world, another version of this same moment could be unfolding. A voice asking the same question you are hearing now. That idea stirs something ancient inside us. It reminds us that the drive to seek connection is not limited to humanity. It might be a universal instinct, written into the very code of life itself. Wherever consciousness arises, curiosity follows, like a shadow that can't be shaken. To live is to wonder, to think is to reach. Yet the multiverse complicates that longing. Because if there are infinite versions of reality, then there may be infinite versions of us. Not just other forms of life, but other yous, living through slightly altered days, making different choices, carrying different memories. Perhaps somewhere, another you never looked up at the stars. Or perhaps they became a physicist, a poet, a traveler among the constellations. Each one an echo, distinct yet tethered by the same question of why existence feels so fragile, so miraculous. This multiplicity of being can be dizzying. It makes identity feel porous, as though we are threads in a larger weave, one consciousness diffused across infinite selves. Yet instead of diminishing individuality, it can enrich it. Because in realizing that life may bloom everywhere, that countless beings may dream their own dreams, we see our smallness not as insignificance, but as belonging. We are part of a pattern so vast that it transcends loneliness. Life, wherever it exists, is the universe's way of saying, I am aware. Think of what that means. Every living thing, from a single bacterium to a blue whale, is a local expression of cosmic awareness. It doesn't matter where it occurs or what form it takes. Whether it breathes oxygen or methane, whether it walks, swims, or flickers as light, each instance of life is a reflection of the same miracle, matter learning to feel. Across the multiverse, that miracle might be replaying endlessly, like waves breaking on infinite shores. Perhaps there are civilizations far older than ours, whose understanding of reality reaches into places we can't yet imagine. Or maybe most universes remain silent, their conditions too harsh, their constants too wild. Both possibilities are staggering. If life is common, then we are part of a grand communion, one note in a cosmic harmony. If life is rare, then our existence becomes all the more precious, a singular bloom in an otherwise barren expanse. Either way, the fact that life exists at all means the universe is capable of wonder. The deeper question then becomes not where life exists, but why it exists at all. Why does matter organize itself into something that can dream, can love, can fear its own ending? Science can describe how, but the why lingers in the silence beyond equations. Perhaps life is not an accident, but an inevitable property of complexity, like fire arising from friction. Or perhaps it is something stranger, a hidden symmetry between consciousness and the fabric of reality itself. The multiverse might not just host life, it might depend on it, the way sound depends on vibration. Some thinkers have suggested that universes capable of producing observers might be the only ones that continue to exist, that awareness itself stabilizes reality, like a cosmic feedback loop. It's an unsettling thought, that existence might need to be seen to persist. Across infinite worlds, then, life wouldn't just be an outcome. It would be a necessity, the eyes through which the cosmos keeps itself alive. Under that lens, every living thing becomes sacred. Every breath, every heartbeat, every flicker of thought is part of the universe's own act of remembering that it exists. When you look at another person, or a bird, or even a blade of grass, you're seeing a tiny window into the same grand consciousness unfolding in a different form. Across the multiverse, that awareness could take countless shapes, each one reflecting a fragment of the same mystery. There's something profoundly peaceful in imagining that we are surrounded, not by emptiness, but by echoes of life. Some faint, some strong, some forever out of reach. The multiverse becomes not a cold expanse, but a garden, infinite, wild, filled with strange blossoms of thought and being. Maybe we'll never meet them, never exchange words or light. Yet knowing they could exist changes how we see ourselves. We are not isolated. We are connected by the possibility of being alive at all. When you think about it long enough, the boundary between us and them begins to blur. Because what makes life meaningful is not its form, but its awareness, the shared pulse that says, I am. Whether that pulse beats in a human heart or in some alien rhythm beyond our physics, it carries the same essence. Across every universe, every timeline, every improbable flicker of existence, that essence is the same. Life looking back at the cosmos, recognizing itself in the mirror of creation. Perhaps that is the truest echo. Not the repetition of biology, but the resonance of awareness. Each life, each consciousness, a reflection of the same mystery, singing softly into the dark. In one universe, that song takes the form of a human voice. In another, perhaps it hums through magnetic storms or ripples in liquid light. Different melodies, same truth. And as we drift through this one small universe, surrounded by stars that burn in silence, it is comforting to think that somewhere across the great expanse of all possible worlds, someone or something might be looking back, wondering, dreaming, asking the same question that echoes through us all. What does it mean to be alive? Consciousness has always felt like the most personal thing we know, that small, steady flame flickering behind our eyes. It whispers in the first person. It says, I am. We take it for granted, as though awareness begins and ends within the soft folds of our brains. Yet perhaps that's only a convenient illusion, a comforting boundary drawn around something far larger. Because what if that quiet voice isn't ours alone? What if the universe itself is speaking through every mind that has ever wondered who it is? For centuries, humans have treated consciousness as an accident, the byproduct of neurons firing, of chemistry sparking thought. But that view has always felt too narrow, too mechanical, as though awareness were just another gear in the clockwork of the cosmos. Some physicists, philosophers, and dreamers have begun to suspect something else, that consciousness might not emerge from matter, but that matter itself might emerge from consciousness. It's a reversal so radical it makes the ground beneath thought shift. In this view, awareness isn't confined inside us. It's a property of reality itself, a field that stretches across everything, subtle but fundamental, like gravity or light. Picture it as an invisible ocean in which all things float, stars, stones, trees, people, each rippling the surface in its own way. Your mind is not separate from this ocean, but a current within it, forming for a while, then dissolving back into the whole. In that sense, awareness isn't something we have, it's something we are. The universe isn't filled with conscious beings. It is consciousness, briefly folding itself into forms that can look back at itself. This idea can sound strange, almost mystical, but it carries a simple beauty. It suggests that consciousness isn't a product of complexity, but the canvas upon which complexity is painted. When a baby first opens its eyes, when a cat watches a shadow move, when a black hole hums at the edge of space, each might be different expressions of the same underlying awareness, echoing through different patterns of existence. The boundaries between inner and outer, mind and world, begin to blur. If consciousness is truly woven into space-time, then every particle carries a trace of perception, however faint. Matter becomes not dead or blind, but aware in its own quiet way. Reality itself becomes participatory, not something we merely observe, but something that observes us back. The universe, then, is not a machine running its course, but a mirror reflecting awareness to itself in endless forms. That mirror stretches deep. Think of the stars, ancient, burning, indifferent to our lives. Yet those same stars forged the atoms that now form our brains. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all born in stellar hearts. When consciousness arose on Earth, it was not separate from the stars, but their continuation. The universe became aware through the very dust that once drifted between galaxies. Awareness, in that light, feels less like a spark that appeared suddenly, and more like a slow awakening, the cosmos gradually realizing that it exists. Such an idea changes how we see everything: death, time, identity. Because if consciousness is fundamental, then it cannot truly vanish. It changes form, shifts its focus, like light passing through different glass. The awareness that animates you may not end when the body does, but return to that wider field, blending again into the background from which it came. In that sense, every life becomes a brief flowering of universal mind, a moment when the cosmos looks inward and says, I am here. Some call this view panpsychism, others poetic nonsense, yet it carries a peculiar resonance. It fits the intuition that the world feels alive in ways we can't quite measure, that there's a quiet intelligence in the unfolding of things. You can sense it in the rhythm of waves, in the silent growth of a forest, in the strange calm of a starlit night. Something hums behind it all, as though the universe is breathing through every motion, watching itself evolve. If that's true, then consciousness isn't confined to a single brain or even to a single universe. It could pervade them all, a universal field of awareness manifesting differently in every reality. In one universe, it might dream through the eyes of carbon-based life. In another, through patterns of electromagnetic storms or quantum waves. Each universe becomes not just a physical world, but a thought, a distinct expression of cosmic awareness exploring its own logic, its own flavor of being. From this angle, the multiverse transforms into a mindscape. Each universe, a different idea. Some bright and structured, others chaotic and wild. Some perhaps never aware of themselves at all. Others filled with civilizations that ponder their own origins. The multiverse becomes not a collection of physical bubbles, but a library of experience, a vast mental architecture built of possibility. Every law of physics, every constant, every timeline, another note in the grand composition of awareness expressing itself. It makes you wonder what we really are inside that composition. Are we merely the words of a sentence the universe is writing? Or the reader itself, momentarily lost in the story? Perhaps both. Maybe consciousness weaves itself into narratives, not to escape its vastness, but to experience it, to feel what it's like to be finite, to taste separation before remembering unity. Every life, then, becomes a kind of exploration, a perspective the universe has never tried before. There's a strange comfort in thinking of existence this way. Because if consciousness is the foundation of reality, then we are never truly apart from anything. Every person you meet, every atom you touch, every breath you take is part of the same living field, the same mirror reflecting back to itself. Loneliness becomes an illusion of focus, the feeling of one current forgetting the ocean it belongs to. Perhaps that's why certain moments feel timeless. Standing before a sunrise, listening to music that moves you beyond words, looking into someone's eyes and feeling something ancient stir. Those are the moments when the boundaries dissolve, when the mirror becomes clear and awareness recognizes itself on both sides. It's as though the universe briefly remembers it is one thing, expressing itself as many. From a scientific lens, this idea remains unprovable, maybe even unfalsifiable, but its power lies in how it reframes our sense of existence. Consciousness becomes not an accident of biology, but the foundation upon which biology, physics, and even universes are built. Reality stops being a cold, indifferent machine and becomes a living, breathing process of awareness unfolding through form and time. If each universe is indeed a thought, then reality itself becomes an act of imagination. Every rule of physics, every burst of creation, every flicker of light in the void, all part of a vast dream where awareness explores itself through structure and surprise. The Big Bang could then be seen as the beginning of a thought taking shape, a new note in the cosmic symphony of being. Which leads to an inevitable question. If universes are thoughts, whose thoughts are they? Who or what is dreaming them? Is there a greater consciousness beyond all these realities, a source mind from which everything emanates? Or is the act of dreaming itself the source, infinite and self-sustaining, awareness creating and dissolving forms endlessly, not because it must, but because that is its nature, to know itself through creation? Perhaps there is no separate dreamer, no distant deity, only the infinite mind dreaming itself into being, over and over. Each universe, each life, each breath, a whisper in that eternal dream. Every moment of wonder, every spark of curiosity, every quiet question about who we are, all reflections in the same mirror, the universe seeing its own face, again and again, across the endless field of consciousness. Mystics once whispered that the universe dreams itself into being, that every atom hums with the quiet memory of a thought. For a long time, such ideas were dismissed as poetry, a soft language meant for prayer rather than science. Yet as the edges of physics blur into philosophy, that whisper begins to sound less like metaphor and more like a possibility the cosmos itself is trying to express. The further we peer into the nature of existence, the more it begins to resemble something alive, not a cold mechanism, but a conscious unfolding, an infinite dream tracing itself into form. At the heart of this dream lies a mystery that refuses to settle. Why does anything exist at all? Quantum physics, in its strange, shimmering honesty, suggests an unsettling answer. That things do not exist independently, that reality depends on observation to become real. In the quantum world, particles drift like uncertain thoughts, existing in overlapping states of potential until something, or someone, looks. That act of observation collapses possibility into a single fact, as though the universe waits for awareness to tell it what to be. This isn't just philosophy in disguise. It's a phenomenon seen in experiments countless times, where particles behave like waves of potential until measured, only then taking on definite forms. The double-slit experiment, one of the most haunting demonstrations in science, shows light and matter shifting between possibility and certainty under the simple gaze of observation. The message buried within its patterns is subtle but profound. The act of perceiving seems to participate in creation itself. So perhaps consciousness doesn't merely witness the universe. Perhaps it writes it. Every moment of awareness could be an act of choosing among infinite unrealized options, carving one reality out of the vast field of what could have been. Each thought, each perception, each breath might be the pulse that keeps the dream alive. The multiverse, then, becomes not a scattered collection of random worlds, but an endless tapestry of dreaming, awareness expressing itself through infinite variations of existence. In this vision, creation is no longer a singular event in the past, but an ongoing process, a continuous act of awakening. The Big Bang wasn't the beginning of all things, but the first breath of a mind stretching into awareness. Every second since then has been another heartbeat of that same consciousness unfolding. The stars, the galaxies, the moments of thought that drift through a human mind, all part of the same eternal exhalation. To dream is to shape reality from within. In the same way that the mind conjures landscapes and characters while asleep, the cosmos may weave itself through the rhythm of awareness, each mind contributing its own strand to the web of being. When you close your eyes and see light behind the darkness, when you drift between waking and sleep, you are participating in the same mystery. Your inner world mirrors the outer one. Both are made of perception. Both dissolve when awareness fades. The ancients spoke of this long before quantum mechanics gave it mathematical language. The Upanishads in India described the universe as the dream of Brahman, the boundless consciousness from which everything arises. Taoist texts suggested that the line between dreamer and dream dissolves when one truly wakes. Even the mystics of the West, gazing at the stars, spoke of God dreaming the world into being, each soul a spark of divine curiosity exploring its own reflection. They may not have known the language of probability waves or superposition, but they sensed the same pulse, the strange truth that to exist is to be imagined. What does that mean for us here, in this small corner of the dream? It suggests that our thoughts carry more weight than we think. Every moment of attention shapes not only our personal world, but perhaps reality itself. Awareness, focused and alive, becomes a creative force, one that ripples outward across layers of existence we can't yet perceive. When you watch a sunrise, the photons reaching your eyes are not just signals of light. They are part of a shared act of perception, a collaboration between observer and observed. In that quiet exchange, something timeless happens. The dream recognizes itself. There's a certain gentleness in this idea. It tells us that we are not separate from the cosmos, but woven into its very process of being. To live, to breathe, to see, these are acts of participation. Every moment of perception adds to the collective story the universe tells about itself. Every choice of attention becomes a brushstroke on the vast canvas of possibility. When billions of minds observe, imagine, and feel, the dream deepens, gaining texture, depth, and meaning. The multiverse becomes not a cold expansion of probabilities, but a shared creation, co-authored by all forms of awareness. In this light, death, too, takes on a softer shape. The end of one dream may be the beginning of another, the awareness shifting focus but never ceasing. Just as a dreamer moves from one scene to the next, consciousness may drift between universes, exploring new patterns of self. Life becomes not a fragile spark in an indifferent void, but an eternal rhythm of awakening and rest. The cosmos dreaming through us, pausing, then dreaming again. The implications are as humbling as they are beautiful. If the act of observation creates reality, then nothing we perceive is truly separate. The flower blooming in sunlight, the hum of distant traffic, the pulse in your wrist, all are threads in the same unfolding awareness. There is no rigid line between subject and object, only an ongoing conversation between consciousness and creation. To exist is to be part of that conversation, to whisper into the infinite field, "I see you," and to feel it whisper back, "I see you too." Perhaps that's why dreams themselves feel so hauntingly real. They are reminders, rehearsals for the deeper truth that all reality may be dreamlike. Within dreams, time bends, logic dissolves, yet emotion feels sharper, meaning more immediate. The dreamer becomes both creator and witness, building entire worlds from thought and feeling. Wakefulness may not be so different. The boundaries we draw between dream and reality could simply be thresholds of perception within the same larger continuum. This perspective doesn't deny science but deepens it, suggesting that every equation, every law, every constant is part of the language the universe uses to dream itself coherently. Physics becomes poetry. Mathematics becomes music. Both expressions of the same silent consciousness learning its own structure. The multiverse could then be seen as a collection of dreams within dreams, some lucid, some chaotic, each exploring a different aspect of what awareness can be. It's a thought that invites stillness. To realize that existence might be a dream shared across dimensions is to recognize how delicate, how precious each moment really is. Every sound, every glance, every breath becomes part of the ongoing creation. Awareness is the brush that paints the stars, the hand that shapes time, the eye through which the universe perceives its own beauty. So perhaps the cosmos doesn't just exist, it dreams. Every atom hums with potential. Every mind flickers with the same ancient light. Somewhere between quantum uncertainty and human imagination lies the quiet truth that to be is to be perceived. To exist is to be known. The multiverse, in all its vastness, may simply be consciousness turning in its sleep, shifting from one vision to another, endless and alive. But in dreams, there are always layers, reflections within reflections, truths hidden behind illusion. Which brings us to a softer, deeper question. In this infinite dreaming, how do we know what is real and what is merely reflection? There are moments when the universe feels thin, as if reality itself were made of fabric stretched across something deeper. A quiet night, an unfamiliar echo in an empty room, a shadow that lingers a heartbeat longer than it should. The air seems to shimmer, not with light, but with the faint sense that something vast is brushing against our world. Some physicists have begun to wonder whether that feeling might be more than imagination. Whether, at the edges of what we know, other universes press softly against our own, their gravity and light seeping through the seams of space-time like mist through woven cloth. In this view, reality isn't a single solid wall, but a series of translucent layers, each world stacked against the next. Where they touch, strange things could happen. Perhaps a burst of radiation fades where it shouldn't, or a pattern appears in the cosmic microwave background, that ancient glow left from the birth of our universe. Scientists searching those cold regions of the sky have found spots that don't quite fit, darker and quieter than the rest, as though something on the other side has left its fingerprint. A ghostly bruise in the afterglow of creation. It's possible, they say, that these cold spots mark collisions between universes, moments when two cosmic bubbles brushed together long ago, warping the light that now reaches our telescopes. The idea stretches the limits of what we can test, yet it lingers, too haunting to ignore. Because if that's true, then our universe has scars, faint but real, written across the oldest light we can see. Each one might be evidence that somewhere beyond our horizon, another world once drifted close enough to touch ours, sharing for an instant the same breath of existence before floating away again into the dark. This image has a quiet melancholy. Two universes, each infinite in its own way, brushing for a moment, unaware of the significance of their meeting. Like ships passing in an endless fog, leaving behind only a ripple that fades into silence. Yet that ripple, that subtle flicker, might be the very key to understanding what lies beyond. If universes can collide, or even whisper to one another through the fabric of physics, then the boundaries between them are not as absolute as we thought. Reality becomes a kind of conversation, spoken in the language of gravity and light. There are other hints, too. Puzzles in our own world that seem to hum with quiet strangeness. Tiny discrepancies in particle behavior, odd alignments in cosmic data, unexplained gravitational anomalies. None are proof, yet each adds to the feeling that we might be living in a universe slightly haunted by others. A multiverse that doesn't just exist far away, but overlaps with ours in subtle, invisible ways. The thought sends a chill through the imagination, not from fear, but from awe. To realize that the boundaries of reality may shimmer and breathe, that worlds might blend at their edges like colors in dawn light. If this is true, then the idea of leakage between universes takes on a strange intimacy. Perhaps the rare flashes of unexplained energy that reach our detectors are the faint echoes of events in a neighboring reality. Perhaps the dark matter that holds galaxies together, that invisible mass we've never seen directly, is the gravitational ghost of another universe brushing softly against ours. Each particle of unseen matter could be a distant whisper from beyond, a reminder that existence is more porous than we dare to believe. Even light itself may not be confined. A photon born in another universe might slip through the veil, bending under strange rules before vanishing again, leaving us with a brief, inexplicable shimmer. It's an idea, both scientific and poetic, that the glow we see in the night sky might not belong entirely to us. That some of the starlight bathing our world could be borrowed, wandering across cosmic borders, carrying the memory of another reality where different suns burn, different minds dream, and time flows to a rhythm we can only guess. In this light, the universe becomes less of a closed system and more of a living network. Each reality pulses beside countless others, connected by threads of possibility so fine they almost escape detection. But sometimes, under rare conditions, near black holes, in the silence between quantum states, in the deep cold of intergalactic space, the veil may thin. Reality may flicker, like an old film catching in the projector. For a moment, something beyond bleeds through. Perhaps a pattern in the void, a tug on a comet's path, a resonance in a field of particles. Or perhaps something subtler still, something felt rather than measured. A breath of déjà vu, a sudden stillness as if the world were listening to itself. It's haunting to think that reality might not be steady but trembling, alive, constantly reasserting itself against the pressure of other worlds. Every moment, every instant, could be a negotiation between neighboring universes, each one shaping the other in ways too delicate for us to notice. The laws of physics might not be fixed, but part of an ongoing harmony, adjusting to keep the balance of coexistence. The flicker we sense in our perception, the subtle feeling that things might be slightly off. It could be the resonance of this cosmic music, the echo of the larger whole humming through our bones. Such thoughts stretch the boundaries of science into something like mythology. But myth, after all, was humanity's first language for the unknown. Long before telescopes and equations, people spoke of thin places, sacred thresholds where worlds touched. The Celts believed such crossings appeared at dawn or dusk, between light and dark, when the ordinary softened into the unseen. Many cultures told of spirits passing through from parallel realms, bringing with them knowledge or warnings, vanishing before morning. Those stories might have been poetic intuition for what physics now dares to describe, that the fabric of reality itself may ripple with unseen neighbors. To live in such a universe is to inhabit mystery. Every sunrise could be a convergence, every night a thinning of the veil. Perhaps that's why certain moments in life feel impossibly deep, not just emotionally, but physically, as though the air thickens with meaning. Maybe in those instants, something aligns, and the shadow of another world brushes against ours, leaving behind a residue of wonder. A trace too delicate for instruments, but not for the human heart to feel. The mind tries to make sense of this vastness, yet perhaps it's not something to be solved, but experienced. Standing under a sky filled with stars, one might sense that their faint light is more than reflection, that each shimmer carries a secret. The silence between them feels charged, as if the cosmos were breathing through invisible lungs. Maybe that is the flicker. Not a glitch, but a heartbeat. A sign that the universe is more alive than we know. And when it flickers, perhaps it leaves behind something. A signal too faint for our instruments, a whisper that drifts through the static of cosmic radiation, a trace woven into the background noise of existence. Somewhere in that quiet hum might lie the evidence we've been seeking, not in the blinding brightness of discovery, but in the soft pulse of something reaching out across worlds. Something saying, "I am here. Can you feel me?" There is a point in the sky where vision fades, not because the stars stop, but because light itself has not yet reached us, a distance so great that time bends into silence. Astronomers call it the cosmic horizon, the farthest edge of what can be seen. Everything beyond remains veiled, not hidden by darkness, but by time itself. The light from those unreachable places still travels toward us, carrying the story of universes we may never know, the echo of beginnings that continue to unfold somewhere beyond our sight. Looking toward that horizon is like staring into a mirror that reflects not your face, but the outline of possibility. It's a line that marks both the limit of our understanding and the promise of something larger. Beyond it, space doesn't end. It continues endlessly, carrying galaxies, stars, and perhaps worlds much like our own. Each one burns and fades, unaware of us, yet part of the same silent song. The universe whispers across that divide, though its voice arrives too faint, too slow, to be heard in a single lifetime. The horizon is not a wall, but a tide. As time passes, it moves outward, revealing more of the cosmic ocean. Every new telescope, every new eye we open to the heavens pushes it a little further. But no matter how far we reach, there will always be more beyond. Light forever on its way, never arriving. It's an invitation written in the fabric of existence, a quiet message that says, "You are not finished knowing. You are not finished wondering." There's a certain humility in that thought. For all our knowledge, for all the precision of our instruments, we remain creatures standing on the shore of a vast sea, watching the waves of light roll in from eons past. Each photon that touches us has traveled through unimaginable emptiness, crossing billions of years to meet the back of a telescope, the surface of an eye. When we look up at night, we are not just seeing stars, we are witnessing ancient light completing its journey. To think that so much of the universe still waits unseen, it fills the mind with a soft kind of awe. Sometimes it feels as though the horizon is alive, breathing in rhythm with the universe itself. The farther it recedes, the more it reveals, yet the mystery never grows smaller. It expands, pulling curiosity along with it, reminding us that the act of seeing is never complete. Every answer uncovers another question, every discovery a deeper layer of wonder. Perhaps that is what makes exploration so human, the quiet acceptance that our maps will always be unfinished. The horizon also carries a subtle melancholy. Beyond it lie regions of space moving away faster than light, receding so quickly they will never be visible, no matter how far time stretches. They are not lost, just unreachable, like memories of a dream that fade upon waking. Whole galaxies, entire histories, unfolding forever without witness. The realization humbles even the most brilliant mind, reducing our achievements to a flicker on the surface of eternity. Yet that smallness has its own kind of beauty, because it connects us to the vastness around us. We are part of the same unfolding, a single note in the cosmic chord. To gaze toward the cosmic horizon is to feel the dual nature of existence, the pull between knowing and unknowing, between what is visible and what is forever hidden. It is both boundary and invitation. The edge of sight asks us to look not just outward, but inward. Because beyond that line, beyond all the light and distance, lies something we can only sense, the echo of our own longing to understand. That longing is as old as thought itself, the quiet pulse behind every story we tell about the stars. When the universe was young, there was no horizon, only fire. Light flooded in every direction, unbroken, unbound. As space expanded, that fire cooled and the horizon was born. The first boundary between what could be seen and what remained beyond reach. It continues to grow even now, stretching faster than we can imagine, drawing a delicate circle around our cosmic neighborhood. The thought that there is more beyond that circle, more than we could ever comprehend, does not diminish us. It enlarges us because it gives us something to wonder about, something to reach for, even knowing we will never touch it. The horizon whispers softly through the centuries, through the lenses of every telescope, through the words of every explorer who ever looked up and felt small. It tells us that endings are illusions, that limits are beginnings in disguise. The light that cannot reach us still exists, still moves, still shapes the structure of everything we can see. So perhaps nothing is truly beyond our connection. Perhaps even the unseen shares its rhythm with us, in the way gravity bends, in the way time flows, in the way every heartbeat seems to echo something older, something cosmic. Sometimes the whisper feels personal. Standing beneath the night sky, one might sense that the stars themselves are not distant at all, but leaning close, as though the universe listens as much as it speaks. The horizon becomes less of a boundary and more of a breath, the space between knowing and mystery. We are made of the same matter that once glowed on the far side of that line. Hydrogen forged in forgotten suns, atoms scattered across eternity, gathered again into eyes that now gaze back toward their source. To look at the edge of the universe is, in a quiet way, to look homeward. Perhaps that is what the cosmic horizon truly represents, not the end of our reach, but the mirror of our desire to reach at all. It reflects every question humanity has ever asked, every dream that stretched beyond its own understanding. We build telescopes not only to see further, but to remember that we are part of something worth seeing. The horizon invites us to keep looking, even knowing that the looking will never be done. It reminds us that wonder itself is a form of knowledge, a language spoken between our small world and the infinite beyond. Eventually, every journey bends back towards stillness. The explorer returns to the shore, the telescope rests, the night grows quiet. But the horizon remains, shimmering faintly in the dark, its whisper continuing long after we've stopped listening. It says that exploration never truly ends, that the act of reaching, of seeking, is its own kind of discovery. The boundary we see in the sky is also within us, the edge between comprehension and awe, where thought gives way to feeling, where science meets wonder. So as our voyage nears its end, we return to that inner shore, the one lined not with water or stars, but with the delicate shimmer of curiosity. The cosmic horizon fades into the distance, but its voice lingers. Not in answers, but in the quiet realization that the unknown is not something to conquer, but to cherish. Because it is there, at the very edge of sight, where the universe and the human spirit meet, in silence, in wonder, in an endless whisper that says, "Look closer, there is more, always more." There comes a moment, after traveling through every theory, every shimmer of possible worlds, when the mind grows still. The stars fade to whispers, the equations dissolve into something softer, and what remains is a quiet recognition that the multiverse, whether fact or fable, has always been about the same thing, our hunger to understand the infinite. The journey brings us back here, to the edge of comprehension, where imagination brushes against eternity and wonder takes the shape of light. The multiverse might exist beyond every horizon, a boundless ocean of realities, each with its own rhythm of time and law of nature. Or it might live entirely within us, a reflection of how far the human mind can reach. Perhaps it's not a structure of worlds, but a landscape of thought, a way to hold infinity without needing to measure it. Either way, it speaks to something deep within, a yearning older than words, older even than stars. Because before humanity could calculate or map the cosmos, we dreamed of it. The multiverse, in that sense, is a dream that learned to think. To stand at the shores of such an idea is to feel both weightless and rooted. The mind drifts outward, tracing invisible threads between galaxies, but the heart remains still, tethered by the simple awe of being here at all. We realize that whether there are many universes or only one, we already inhabit something miraculous, a reality that knows itself. Consciousness rising out of dust, capable of looking up, asking questions that stretch beyond time. That act alone is a form of creation. Each thought, each moment of curiosity is its own small universe. There's a peculiar beauty in not knowing. The unknown is not emptiness, it's potential. The multiverse, true or imagined, reminds us that there are always possibilities beyond sight, choices beyond reach, patterns still unfolding in the silence of the void. It keeps the cosmos alive in our minds, a living thing that breathes through questions. To say I don't know is not defeat. It's an invitation to listen more deeply, to the hum beneath existence. Maybe the multiverse is real in the way music is real. Notes vibrating through space until they fade, leaving resonance behind. Each universe could be a separate melody, played once, never repeated, yet harmonizing with all the others. Some are brief and chaotic, others long and gentle. Together, they create a song without beginning or end, a song that only existence itself could compose. To hear even a fragment of that music is to feel connected, to realize that we are made of the same vibrations, that our thoughts, too, are part of that endless sound. The shoreline between knowledge and mystery is a sacred place. It's where science becomes poetry, where logic gives way to wonder, where equations blur into stars. Standing there, the mind understands that curiosity itself is infinite, that the pursuit of truth is not a straight path but a spiral. We keep circling the same questions. What is reality? Why are we here? How far does it go? Yet each time we return changed, carrying a new piece of light. The answers don't end the journey, they deepen it. It's humbling to think that our entire universe, all its galaxies and time, could be just one ripple in an ocean so vast we cannot even imagine its shore. But humility has its own quiet grace. It reminds us that being small does not mean being insignificant. On the contrary, our smallness is what allows us to feel wonder so deeply. The stars need the dark to be seen. We need the unknown to awaken awe. In that sense, the multiverse is not an escape from meaning, but a mirror reflecting how much meaning we can hold. Somewhere, perhaps, another version of this same moment unfolds. A different you, speaking under a different sky, tracing the same thought through a different world. Whether or not such reflections exist physically doesn't matter as much as what they symbolize, the infinite possibilities contained within every breath. Every choice branches outward like light scattering through glass, creating patterns that no single mind could ever follow. Yet all those paths, real or imagined, point toward the same mystery, that existence is both fleeting and eternal, both question and answer. The multiverse then becomes more than a theory. It becomes a meditation on connection, on impermanence, on the quiet miracle that we can even ask these questions. Perhaps each world, each possible reality, is an expression of curiosity itself, a different way for the universe to know itself. The atoms in our bodies have traveled across stars and centuries, and have gathered here for this brief moment of awareness. We are not separate from the cosmos we study. We are its voice, its reflection made conscious. When you step back far enough, the boundaries blur between the scientist and the poet, between discovery and dream, between the cosmos outside and the one within. The multiverse, whether true or imagined, unites them all under the same truth, that to exist is to wonder, that curiosity is not a flaw of humanity, but its essence. Perhaps we will never see the other worlds our equations whisper about. Perhaps the only way to reach them is through thought itself. But maybe that's enough. Maybe thought is the bridge, imagination the vessel, wonder the compass. There's a calm that comes with that realization. The vastness no longer feels intimidating, but intimate. The unknown stops being a distant void and becomes something alive, breathing with us. We stop trying to conquer mystery and start listening to it. The multiverse becomes not a collection of unreachable worlds, but a reflection of how boundless awareness can be. The farther the horizon stretches, the more it draws us inward, toward the still center where all universes meet, the quiet within a single heartbeat. So the journey ends where it began, at the edge of imagination. The multiverse might be real, or it might be a metaphor carved out of starlight and longing. It might exist beyond the furthest galaxies, or only within the folds of thought. But what it reveals, more than anything, is the capacity of the human spirit to reach beyond itself, to dream of infinity, even while wrapped in mortality, to create meaning where there could be none. In the end, it doesn't matter whether there are infinite worlds. What matters is the awe they awaken. The way they remind us that existence, even a single lifetime, even a single thought, is already infinite in its own way. Every breath, every look toward the stars is part of that endless exploration. The multiverse may be a theory, but wonder is real. It lives in us, rippling outward like light across space, a quiet echo of creation itself. The shore is before us now. The ocean of all possible worlds glimmers beyond sight, unending, unknowable, yet strangely familiar. We stand barefoot in its tide, watching the light move across the waves of time. The journey is not over. It never was. It only changes form, from question to silence, from silence to awe. Perhaps that is the final truth the multiverse offers, that we are not meant to reach the end of knowledge, only to keep walking its shores, endlessly amazed that there is a horizon at all. We have drifted across oceans of time and theory, from the trembling birth of space to the dreaming mind of the cosmos. Along the way, we've seen reflections of ourselves in every mirror, countless versions, countless worlds. Perhaps the multiverse is real, a vast, eternal fractal blooming endlessly in silence. Or perhaps it's simply the imagination of one universe trying to understand itself. Either way, the truth it offers is the same, that existence is far greater and far gentler than we can ever know. Take a moment to breathe. Feel the quiet between your thoughts. That space, that pause, might be another universe waiting to be born. Reality is not a fixed shore. It is a tide, coming and going, creating and dissolving. And we, small travelers in the night, are part of that motion. So let your mind drift. Let it sail beyond the visible stars, past the limits of what can be proven, into the soft hum of possibility. Because somewhere, across the shores of the multiverse, another version of you is doing the same. Sleep now, traveler. The universe will keep dreaming.